and I have a feeling this could be a perfect strike. So let's take a look at Jeff as he soaks it all in. Great moment indeed here at PNC Park. Was unbelievable. Let's check out the windup and the pitch. Oh, just a little bit short, but who cares? All right, folks, we're almost ready to play ball. It should be a great one. Pirates and Phillies, check it all out right here on Root Sports. Teak and I will be back with the post-game show. Enjoy the ball game.
What a day for a holiday celebration, and we're glad you're spending it with us on Root Sports. It's Independence Day, and the Pirates and the Philadelphia Phillies are set to play Game 3 of this three-game series. The Pirates going for another series win. Hi again, everyone. Along with Bob Walk, I'm Tim Never. Robbie Smikowski will join us shortly. Happy 4th of July, first and foremost. It was a happy night last night in front of a big house at PNC Park. Pirates winning 6-5, largely due to the bat of Pedro Alvarez.
Well, Pedro very hot, obviously, in the month of June. He's taken it right into July. Last night came up with a big swing. That swing right there gets the Pirates 3 runs. And up to that point, they had been stymied a little bit with runners in scoring position, not getting the clutch hit. But it's great to have Pedro in that lineup. He's the guy that gives you that offense with one swing. They got 3 runs last night.
Big part of the Pirates' success this year has been pitching. A lot of people want to see Garrett Cole in his 5th Major League start. He's 4 for 4, and the first Pirate pitcher since 1907 to win his first career starts. Nick Maddox did it 105 years ago.
It's a lot of fun to watch Garrett go out there start to start because he's adding a little something different every time he goes out. I'm really looking forward to this afternoon. Tough matchup against the Phillies on 4th of July. Big crowd. Going to be exciting.
So the youngster Garrett Cole will take on the veteran Cole Hamels, the lefty for Philadelphia. The 4th of July, a special American holiday. Glad to spend it with you, and glad you're spending it with us, watching Pirates baseball from PNC Park. First pitch and lineups coming up.
Port Security Forces Squad. I'm Staff Sergeant Vance Thurman.
I'm Brian G. McGrath.
I'm Staff Sergeant Brian Eric.
I'm Airman First Class Mickey Lascano. I'm Senior Airman Andrew Warwick. I'm Senior Airman Zelensky.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Woodard.
I'm Airman Gibson.
Tech Sergeant Josh Cortasio. Staff Sergeant Warren.
Hi, I'm Master Sergeant William Mayberry.
I'm Staff Sergeant Glenn Basis. My name's Tech Sergeant Robert Quarterbar.
I'm Senior Airman Daniel Bosey.
Want to tell our friends and family back home we can't wait to get home? Go root on the Pirates at PNC Park. Ready, guys? Let's go, Bucks!
Soldiers, all from Western Pennsylvania, all from the 171st Air Refueling Wing. Very happy to have them with us today. And you as well on this 4th of July. A beautiful day it is. Pirates at PNC Park 5-2 on the 4th of July. They've won 4 straight home games on the 4th. 1-1 against the Phillies all time at PNC Park on the 4th of July. Flame-throwing right-hander Garrett Cole starting his warm-ups. This is the lineup he will face, sent out by Charlie Emanuel. Ben Revere moves up to the leadoff spot today. Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard, and Dominic Brown, who hit a homer last night, has 3 home runs over his last 8 games with 10 RBIs and 9 runs batted in. Delman Young, Kevin Franzen will start at third base today. Carlos Ruiz batting 8th and doing the catching. Cole Hamels bats 9th. Facing Garrett Cole in just his 5th major league start.
Take a look at Garrett's numbers, brought to you by Chevrolet. He has been very consistent, to say the least. And the one thing that really stands out more than anything else is how confident he has been about going after the strike zone. You see just 4 base on balls in those first 4 games. He is certainly not afraid.
You know, one thing we've seen from Cole too, Bobby, we expect strikeouts from him because of the velocity of the pitches, but it seems like he's been more of a pitch to contact guy.
Well, he's been more of a pitch to the middle part of the plate type guy, which is not really where you get your strikeouts. You get your strikeouts most of the time on the edges or off the plate. And I think as he starts to do that, strikeout count will come up a little bit. When he's firing it down the middle, though, you're not going to strike a lot of people out.
Guys will be making the plays behind him today. In left field, Starling Marte, Hunter McCutcheon in center. Jose Tabata back in right. Clint Barmas makes the start at shortstop today. Gabby Sanchez at first, and Russell Martin behind the plate, catching Garrett Cole. Pedro Alvarez last night hit his 21st home run of the year. There's a 3-run shot in the 5th inning. And we see a lot of Jolly Rogers being waved. We'll see many American flags being waved today as well in the crowd. A capacity crowd expected on the 4th of July. And the first pitch of the ball game from Garrett Cole to Ben Revere is in for a strike. Nothing in 1-2 Revere. And he lines one into center field for a base hit. Phillies with the leadoff man aboard. This will bring up Chase Utley next. Well, there the center fielder is on. And now Cole. The man on will face the veteran second baseman Chase Utley. Utley a .279 hitter. Utley had a double in last night's game. That was the only hit he would have. He'd finish 1 for 3 with a walk. Pitch to Utley, in for a strike.
Kept that one right at the knees. And that's another thing from Cole that he's going to have to evolve with it. It's not just evolve and throw more sliders and curveballs and all that kind of thing. I mean, he can still be mainly a fastball pitcher, nothing wrong with that, but he's going to have to start getting out of the center of the plate to keep the ball down around the knees, work it up to the letters. He'll have to refine his location, basically.
1 ball and 1 strike to Chase Utley. Ryan Sandberg, the third base coach for the Phillies. Garrett Cole, 4 for 4. First pitcher in 105 years to win his first 4 starts to begin his career with the Bucks.
Revere has good speed.
He has 20 stolen bases. He's been caught 7 times. Sanchez holding him on.
So he's got his eyes right now on the Old North Church.
He's looking for 1 or 2 up in the tower. Strike call to Utley. And it's 1 and 2.
That's keeping the ball down. Utley is thinking that was a little too far down. He wants a explanation. I always wondered the hitters when they look back there, they say, what are they asking? Are they asking, did you miss it?
Swing and a miss, and down on strikes goes Utley. Here's today's Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index. Last 5 players to start and get the win in their first 4 major league appearances. Scott Lewis did it with Cleveland in 08. Jared Weaver with the Angels. Kazushi with the Dodgers in 02. And then Rich Gale for Kansas City, 1978. From Littleton, New Hampshire.
Pretty good change up on that swing and a miss. That not only did get Utley out in front of it, but that ball was way off the plate outside. Made Utley chase, and that's kind of what we were talking about just moments ago about his strikeouts. Here goes the pickoff throw again. Keep Revere close.
One out, one on. The batter, the switch hitting shortstop Jimmy Rollins. There goes Revere, and they've got him hung up. Revere put the brakes on, and now Gabby Sanchez tossing to Clint Barmes for the out. The rifle-armed Russell Martin.
An excellent job by the defense there. Russell doesn't go and throw the ball to second. He takes his time. He sees that he can go to Gabby. Then Gabby, when he catches the ball, immediately goes for the tag. Because Gabby's not sure if he's coming back. He doesn't want to look, so he goes for the tag just in case. Saw that he wasn't there. Gets it going the other way. A little shovel toss to Barmes. Good job all around.
Rollins a strike. Appeal, and the third base umpire Paul Emmel says yes.
That throw's coming down the. Gabby can't look and see, well, what's the runner doing? But he knew that he stopped, so he had to assume that he was coming back. I thought that was a great move on his part to go immediately for the tag.
And a base hit to center by Rollins. After Russell Martin threw out his 15th would-be base stealer, Rollins with a 2-out single, so a man aboard.
Well, Rollins used to steal a lot, not so much anymore. His success ratio is nearly what it used to be. They'll still keep an eye on him here, you would think, with a couple outs. Samwell, a lot of good second base for the Phillies over the years. I'm the first base coach.
I get a former second baseman coaching at first, former second baseman coaching at third.
Yeah, they both came up at the same time. The Phillies decided to keep Samwell, sent Sandberg to Chicago.
Worked out pretty well for
they had
the Cubs.
3 of them came up. Julio Franco came up with them also. They kept Samwell. Franco, I think, went to Cleveland, and Sandberg to the Cubs back in that day. Time. Not all on the same day. That trio kind of came up through the minor leagues pretty close to each other.
1-1 to Ryan Howard. Lifts this one out of play. Foul down the left side. And a ball and 2 strikes to Ryan Howard. Howard did not start the ball game last night because Charlie Manuel wanted to get a right-handed hitter in the lineup against Jeff Locke, so John Mayberry got the start, but Howard did finish it up. Jeff Locke picked up his 8th victory of the season last night.
See if Cole can get a strikeout off the plate here.
There goes Rollins, throw down to second. Hey, got him. Russell Martin guns down 2 runners in the inning. 16 on the season for Russell Martin as Jimmy Rollins caught trying to steal. The control of the running game. Russell Martin excelling at it so far today. The first time. Toyota starting lineup for the Bucks. Marte leads off. Jose Tabata, Andrew McCutchen, Gabby Sanchez in the cleanup spot. Russell Martin hits fifth. Pedro Alvarez, 4 doubles, 6 home runs, 13 runs batted in over his last 11 games. Neil Walker hitting 7th, Barmes 8th, and Garrett Cole 9th, facing Cole Hamels in the first pitch by the Philly left-hander to Marte is a fastball in for a strike. Marte batting .285, 8 home runs, 26 runs knocked in. Up in the air down the right side, that's twisting toward the seats. Ryan Howard a long run, but will go up 4 or 5 rows. 18th start for Hamels, 2-11. And in his last outing on Wednesday against the Padres, he went 6 innings, gave up a home run, allowed 5 runs on 7 hits, and his team got him off the hook. Otherwise, he'd be staring at a dozen losses. 0-2 pitch. Marte looks at it inside. How surprised are you, Bob, when you look at Cole Hamels and see the record he's got?
Well, I'm surprised at the record, but I'm also surprised at his earned run average. I don't think that he would. He's more of a 3-something, maybe even a 2-something type guy. At least it's the way I've thought out of him since he's been in the league. But the numbers aren't there for him this year. He's given up a lot more base hits. He's really been getting his fastball hit hard.
One-two. Struck him out.
And that's the pitch that has been working for him, or the changeup. Probably not the greatest location for a changeup in the world, upstairs like that. Definitely had the result he was looking for.
Another lefty for the Phillies. John Lannon pitched last night. He was tagged with the loss. He's now 1-3. 5 last night. Jose Tabata, second start since coming off the disabled list. 271 is average. 1-0 pitch hit down the right field side. That's going to go foul and out of play. Well, Cole Hamels became the first Phillies pitcher to lose 11 games before the month of July since both Claude Passeau and Wayne LeMaster did so for the 1937 edition of the Phillies. They finished with a record of 61, 92, and 2 that year. Two guys with double-digit losses before July.
The Phillies last year didn't really go very well for them, and I think they put off the rebuilding a little bit this season, trying to take one more shot with the team basically that was so successful for quite some time. But it will be interesting in this offseason to see if they go ahead and make some big changes.
To left field, Dominic Brown does not get it. Made a diving effort for it. Tabata racing for second. He slides. Hey, safe. A double for Jose Tabata.
Tabata just able to get the anchor out, didn't he?
Yeah.
I thought for a moment that he was going to come off the bag.
Brown with a good effort. Came up short.
A pretty good throw from his knees. One hopper.
Hit him on the heel.
Overdove.
And watch Jose get the tail hook out on the deck. Just barely hung on. So one out, man in scoring position for Andrew McCutchen. And Kutch hits this one deep. Going back, Revere. Revere makes the catch on the track, and Tabata stuck at second base.
Revere, good speed, able to run that one down.
Well, Jose is tapping his chest. So that ball hit deep enough where it could have made third.
Yeah, but why? Why would, you know what I mean? If that ball gets dropped and he's tagging up, he doesn't score. If he's halfway, he scores easy if the ball's not caught. And if he tags up and goes to third, it's no big deal. There's 2 outs. Now with nobody out, yeah, he needs to tag up and move to third base. I think he did the right thing. I would much rather see him go and play halfway and make sure that if the ball's messed up, he'll be able to score from wherever he's at. I've seen guys, especially in this ballpark, because it's so deep in left field, go back, tag up, the ball's not caught, and then see him get thrown out at the plate. See it happen.
0-1 to Gabby Sanchez. 2 men out, bottom of the first. Cole Hamels has a sign from Carlos Ruiz. 1-1 to Sanchez. Gabby last night contributing offensively. Base hit. He was hit by a pitch too, and 2 of the 3 times he reached base, he scored a run. Also walked and struck out. This one's popped up. And playable for Ruiz. Pirates are done in the first. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We'll head to the second on the 4th of July. Scoreless at PNC Park. Blue on today. I guess today's the day where if you wear the black and gold, that's great. If you wear the red, white, and blue, that's okay too.
Yeah, this is one day after a win where I guess nobody will hold it against you if you raise the stars and stripes instead of the Jolly Roger. What do you think?
No one's going to hold it against you.
No, I think that would be a good thing to do this afternoon. Raise it all the way to the top, up high.
It's a great day. Hope you're enjoying it. Should be a nice night tonight as well. Pirates will hit the road right after this game. Heading to Chicago for a 3-game weekend set on the holiday weekend. Saw a few shirts like that.
Yeah, Mr. Glass has one of those.
Yeah, Steve's got one of those on today. And Troy, our true center cameraman, has
flying the flag.
Yeah, he's got the stars and bars out there. All right, Ryan Howard was at the plate when Jimmy Rollins was thrown out. Russell Martin throwing 2 men out in the inning. He got Revere and Rollins. First pitch to Ryan Howard. Swung on to left field. That's a base hit. Goes against the shift and tries to go to the opposite field and solidly struck single. Third single for the Phillies.
Cole trying to a little body language there, a little English, trying to get that ball to stay up. Hopefully Marte can make the catch.
Ray Searage, Pirates pitching coach, has done a great job this year.
Another fastball kind of in the middle part of the plate.
And Brown pops this one up, foul ground. Alvarez calling for it. 1 out. Well, fans, the Pirate Parrot is at it again with his 4th annual cruise to cure prostate cancer. Friday, July 19th, he'll begin the 600-mile journey on his Can-Am Spyder motorcycle, riding round trip from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati, all to raise awareness and funding for prostate cancer research. Parrot can't do this alone, so go to pirates.com/cruise to donate or to sign up to ride along with him. Delman Young takes a strike. 1 out and 1 on. Pirate Parrot, I saw where he keeps that Can-Am Spyder. It's in great shape. It's been tuned up and ready for that trip.
That looked like a pretty good pitch that was called a ball. Had plenty of the strike zone. There it was.
One ball and 2 strikes.
Where that second pitch, that's where you would really, as a pitcher, you want to get those called strikes, those knee-high pitches.
Cole working quickly here. The 1-2 got him to chase and struck him out.
There's that hard slider that he really broke that out. I think it's a great effect in Anaheim. Nice, hard, look at 89, almost 90 miles an hour, sharp. AGH cam showing you that good spin. Just Young didn't see the dot, huh?
Apparently not.
He chased, but that's 2 now. 2 strikeouts on balls outside the strike zone. 2 strikeouts. Guys chasing after the ball. One, a changeup down and away. Oddly went after it. That ball was a foot outside. And now this slider down and away off the plate. Young gets a strikeout. And I think when you see more of that, you're going to see the strikeout numbers come up.
Kevin Franzen fouls that one off. He's in the hole 0-2. Franzen appeared as a pinch hitter last night, had a base hit.
And I think, Tim, you'll agree that he really hasn't left the strike zone very often these first 4 games. He's going right after these guys. And I really believe that's why the strikeout numbers aren't where I think a lot of people would say they should be when he throws 95 to 100.
0-2 to Franzen. Poked it to right field, and it hangs up there for Jose Tavila. No runs, a hit, a man left through an inning and a half. Garrett Cole and the Pirates scoreless with the Phillies.
Here on Root Sports. I'm Robbie Ince-Mikowski, joined by a very special lady here. Her name is Monica Orlick, and she's the president and COO of Operation Troop Assistance, Operation Troop Appreciation. Excuse me, I drew a blank there for a second. But they provide high-end necessities that the government is unable to provide, and she's done a great job with that. First of all, Monica, can you tell us just about the goods that you provide to these troops?
Sure. We send specifically requested items. So what we send is really based on where the troops are located, their access to a military exchange store, and their mission. So it could be anywhere from foul weather clothing, extra ballistics glasses, boots, bedding, to personal care, hygiene items, and anything in between that boosts their morale and aids them in their mission.
And even items such as iPads, so soldiers can Skype and FaceTime with their families from overseas, wherever they may be deployed. And last season, you did an interview with us on these airwaves, and it really helped out your cause, and it really brought a lot of attention to the organization. How can they help again?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Pittsburgh community has been really great to our organization. We're headquartered in Pittsburgh. We're 100% volunteer. So there are many ways that people in Pittsburgh can help. They can go online to our website, operationtroopappreciation.org, make an online donation because our shipping costs are very high. But we also have items that they can bring in to our headquarters at Century 3 Mall. They can stop in on a Saturday between 10 and 4, bring in items that we typically send to the troops, and get to learn about a lot of the veterans and the military members who serve to protect our country.
And a couple things, Tim, 98 cents of every dollar goes to the troops. And here you see a sign. Colleen Wells, her husband Robert, is currently on his 5th deployment overseas, and she made this sign right here. Again, that's operationtroopappreciation.org to support your troops and send them goods that they can use that is not provided by the government. A very nice service that these young ladies are performing, Tim.
Thanks, Robbie. I have a feeling we're going to see Colleen a little later. Join us in the booth. Russell Martin with a 2-2 count on him. Bottom of the second. First hitter of the inning, and Martin takes a ball inside. 3-2. What a great thing that Operation Troop Appreciation does.
Oh, absolutely. One of the great examples of the good things about this country, that people getting together and doing that sort of thing. Martin chases downstairs.
2 strikeouts now for Cole Hamels. And some of the things that the soldiers have received through Operation Troop Appreciation. Yeah, barbells. Yep. You got to be in shape when you're working for Uncle Sam.
Lifting that tire. That doesn't look like.
Pedro Alvarez facing Hamels. One thing to look for with Pedro, last night we saw him see 2 pitches in the exact same location. One of them he hit a home run on in the 5th inning. In the 3rd inning, he took it for a strike. It was a high fastball from John Lannon. Barrel Automotive League leaders stat, National League leaders in at-bats per home run. Barrel Automotive, we're driven to be better. Pedro right on top of that list. As far as what he does against the Phillies, gets a home run every 8.6 at bat. He is at the highest home run rate for any active player with at least 50 at bats against Philadelphia. Pitch is outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pedro likes to see the Phillies, apparently. Struck out there. Off-speed pitch. 2 strikeouts in the inning. And 2 gone for the Bucks.
Well, Pedro got a very good pitch to hit. The second pitch he saw was a fastball pretty much right down the middle. He took that and got himself in a situation, 2 strikes, where he had to chase at the curveball.
Neil Walker swings and misses. Walker had 2 hits, 2 for 4 last night. Batting predominantly right-handed. Brought his right-handed batting average up to 208. Down in the 170s, 180s.
He's a much better hitter against right-handers, though, than what his numbers, in my opinion. I know his lifetime numbers are higher than that. And I think that will, as the season goes along, that'll continue to climb.
Walker fouls this one out, but his numbers will be magnified from the right side because he's only had 53 at bats compared to the 187 at bats he's had from the left side. So,
and I'm not going to argue with anybody that I'm not trying to say he's just as good as a right-hand hitter as a left-hand hitter. I don't believe that, but I just think you see guys always managers always trying to flip him around. Don't take him for granted as a right-hand hitter. I guess that's the bottom line.
Pirates done in order in the second inning. Still scoreless at PNC Park. Third inning, no score. Phillies and Pirates. Rubber game of this 3-game set. Packed house here at PNC Park. And the final game of this homestand as well. Very happy to have with us all the way from the Middle East and Kuwait area, PFC Adam Riddle. He's got the Buccos hat on. He's from northeastern Pennsylvania. First Lieutenant Greg Martz on the right. He's from North Versailles. Gentlemen, we're very happy and proud to have you with us. Again, they're with Delta Company, 1st 109th Infantry Unit of the Pennsylvania National Guard, joining us via Skype. Thanks for joining us, first of all. How are you guys doing on this 4th of July?
Doing great. It's just another holiday in the desert.
Can't be doing any better.
Well, I know that you guys are both Pirate fans, even though, Adam, you're from the eastern side of the state. I know you're still a Bucco fan, which makes you great. So,
yes, sir.
How do you follow the Pirates when you're in Kuwait, in the Kuwait area? How do you follow them and keep track of the Buccos?
Usually Twitter or on the website. That's pretty much how I follow them. All my friends on Facebook too. They're always just speaking about raising the Jolly Roger.
Carlos Ruiz grounds out to start the inning. The pitcher Cole Hamels will be up next.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys, obviously, for what you do for us, your country. I mean, that's a great thing. On a holiday like the 4th of July, it really has to kind of, be tough on you not being at home with your family. That's got to be, one of the things that really bother you about being on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Thankfully, we have Skype and the ability to FaceTime with our families at home, and the USO has telephones we can use to get in touch with our families back home.
Now, we understand there are a few Phillies fans over there with you. Your unit is out of Scranton, so what's it like to have the upper hand now over the Phillies for a change?
Yep. It's the same with any other sport here.
That's a good answer. Good answer, Greg. And Cole Hamels goes down on strikes. 2 outs quickly. What can you tell us about your mission in and around Kuwait?
What we're doing is actually providing security for different units around bases and airports in Kuwait. Really all it is escorts. And we make sure they get to wherever they need to go safely.
Well, we know there are a lot of things you can't tell us, but we're glad you're able to join us here on Pirates baseball.
It's got to be very uncomfortable there at this time of year, middle of July. I mean, what's it like, outside in the afternoon? Is it blistering hot?
Yes, and a lot of blowing sand around.
2 men out, 1 ball, 1 strike on the leadoff man, Ben Revere. Revere is 1 for 1. And we are joined by Private First Class Adam Riddle and First Lieutenant Greg Martz. Bucco fans, they are with the Pennsylvania National Guard. Joining us from the 1st of the 109th Infantry, based out of Scranton. They're currently serving in Kuwait, joining us live via Skype. And, it's not always simple when you're dealing with technology, so we do appreciate your efforts to hook up with our television truck today. Ben Rivera base hit to left field, and the Phillies with a base runner with 2 men out.
Are you guys in an area where you can get outside during your off time and throw football around, stuff like that? Is it? What is it like there to be on a base?
It's pretty warm, but there are volleyball courts, horseshoe pits. The MWR facility has pool tables and just recreational use, stuff like that.
What's the biggest adjustment being there as opposed to being home?
Temperature.
They feeding you all right?
Yes, they are.
Chase Utley at the plate. No balls and 1 strike to Utley. 1 on and 2 out here in the top of the 3rd inning. No score. All right, what's your prediction for the Pirates for the second half of this season? Where are they going to end up?
Hopefully they stay put.
Very good. Excellent answer.
How many wins?
Over 100. We'll go with over 100. I don't want to get too specific.
Just 100.
Being able to follow the Pirates baseball while you're over there, is that really kind of help you? Feel like you still have some kind of a contact toward home?
Chase Utley puts this one off the Clemente wall. Ben Revere is going to be held at 3rd, so a double for Utley. 2nd and 3rd for the Phillies, and 2 men out.
Kind of like a distraction, get your mind off where you're at.
It's definitely great to at least know how they follow a team back at home. Everything. Main thing is keep on talking with friends and family back home. They tell you about all this. You're not really able to watch it, but somehow it helps you at least. Helps you cope with it a little bit better.
Anybody in the area you'd like to say hi to right now that are watching?
I'd like to say hi to my family, my wife Heather, my daughter Audrey, and happy birthday to my son Quinn. Today's his 2nd birthday.
Jimmy Rollins fouls this one off. Well, you guys are doing great work over there, and we really appreciate what it is that you do. I know everybody watching feels the same, and our telecast today dedicated to the troops, and really happy to have you guys with us. Anything you want to say to the Pirates?
What was that?
Anything you want to say to the Pirates?
Let's go Bucks.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
That's it. PFC Adam Riddle, First Lieutenant Greg Martz, and the Pennsylvania National Guard joining us live from Kuwait via Skype. Guys, thanks very much. We really appreciated having you on today. And again, thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be able to bring even a little slice of home to him. And pitch to Rollins, swinging a miss, strike 3. Rollins goes down on strikes. Cole strands 2. Still scoreless after 2.5. Bottom of the third, no score. Pirates with just one hit. Phillies have scattered 5 around. And the Bucks will have the bottom part of the order due up against Cole Hamels, Clint Barmas, Garrett Cole, and Starling Marte. So here is Barmas' first at bat of the ball game. We'll take strike one. Clint has had his role adjusted. Jordy Mercer getting the bulk of playing time at shortstop, but now Clint Hurdle with the challenge of getting Barmas in there, getting him regular, and trying to keep him fresh. It's always a challenge with guys coming off the bench, because when they do come off the bench, you expect them to play like they play every day. 1-1 pitch. It's 1-2. Cole on deck.
He's ready. Put the gloves on. I think he's liking this hitting stuff. The impression, don't you?
Yeah. He likes it a lot. Put the red, white, and blue necklace on today. The players are wearing.
Got to have your rope. Get the rope on.
Jordy Mercer's got one. How come you don't have one? Thought you might be wearing one today.
Nobody's paying me to.
1-2 pitch. It's popped up over the first base dugout. But you wouldn't wear it just because it looks good on you?
That looks good, huh?
That might match your shirt.
No, I don't want to wear a rope around my neck. Hamels has no chance today whatsoever. He has no rope around.
No rope.
No.
Yeah.
He's toast.
Barmas fouls this one over the first base side, and Howard runs out of room. It was great to hear from those guys over in Kuwait. I mean, setting everything up via Skype, not the easiest thing to do. That far away, and guys have challenges based on their locations, but we really appreciate the effort. Swinging on this, and Barmas down on strikes. Fourth strikeout for Cole Hamels.
Well, we hear that the Phillies are having their say now with it.
The Pirates and GovX are pleased to offer a ticket discount to all active duty, reserve, veteran, and retired service members and their families. Military members will receive up to $10 off select game tickets to any Sunday through Friday game this season. Get tickets at pirates.com/military or go to the PNC Park ticket windows. Matching outfit. The Pirates gave away a number of tickets to military personnel and their families today so they could enjoy a day on the 4th of July. On 1 to Garrett Cole. Cole has 2 hits and 6 at bats. He was at UCLA for 3 years, never picked up a bat. Didn't have one plate appearance in college. That's typically the way anyway in college baseball. But Cole, a good enough athlete, swing the bat like he knows what he's doing. A swinging bunt, and that's going to roll foul.
Hamels, good decision. Got over there in time. He could have picked that up if he wanted to, but he knew that getting the out was going to be very iffy, so he decided to go ahead and let it go in foul territory and throw another pitch.
The Phillies are 3-14 in the games that Hamels starts this year. Just has had a lack of run support. Charlie Manuel gave him an extra couple of days. He was initially on schedule to go on Tuesday night. It would have been his normal day. Cole late on that one, and he strikes out. Five strikeouts for Cole Hamels. Cole strikes out Cole.
Hamels one of those pitchers that has the track record behind him, being an excellent pitcher. So even when you face him in a situation like this where his numbers aren't too hot, you still are thinking, hey, he can go out there and shut us down. And right now he's pitching very well, putting up a couple of zeros and cruising here in the third.
0-1 to Marte. Now it's 0-2. Hamels gets ahead of him. He needs to towel off after the effort. Oh, and 2. That's up high. I wonder if Inge is wearing the cat eye contact lenses again today under those sunglasses. He had contacts on last night. Looked like cat's eyes.
Tough to hit with those on, huh?
I don't think so. Marte to right field and a base hit.
Marte will probably be running here. Doesn't like to stay around first very long.
Marte with 23 steals. Working against the lefty and Hamels. Tabla doubled in the first. 6th double of the year for Jose.
Just nice easy low toss. At some point give him a real good move.
Jimmy Rollins, a backhanded stab, and Marte's going to be safe. He's going to head to third. Talbot at his second. And Marte held up at third base.
For a moment there, nobody really going after that ball. And Marte was thinking about it. He could tell how quickly he was off to third, that somebody didn't chase that down in a hurry, that he was going to take the initiative and scamper home. No play there. His only chance was going to be at first base. They must have lost that maybe in the crowd. It was not a bad throw at all. It was right there.
An error on the Phillies, and the Pirates with something going on.
Sure, they'll give that one to Utley, I would think. Looked like a pretty good toss by Rollins.
McCutchen flied out very deep to center field in the first inning.
Well, these are the kind of opportunities early in the ball game yesterday that the Pirates had and didn't cash in. A big home run. Well, that came in the 5th, I think. But up to that point, they had left a lot of runners on base.
2 balls, no strikes. Utley has been charged with the error officially. The 6th error of the year. Two and 1 to McCutchen.
Trying to pull that ball. The last 2 games, he's been doing very good work going the other direction, up toward right center, up the middle.
He reached base safely 5 times last night. He was 3 for 3, had a triple, his first of the year.
remember last year too. How many home runs was he hitting to right center field? And really, you know, I'm going to say out of the 31 home runs he hit, he probably hit about 10 to the right of center field. Maybe not that many, 8. But still, I mean, when he had that real hot July, that was one of the things that we noticed. A lot of hard hit balls going the other direction.
Three of them to center, one to right field this year. 5 of them on his pull side. 2-2 pitch from Cole Hamels. Foul ball.
And that cut sometimes gets a little Cole happy. You're seeing hit a lot of long, hard strikes. Gets those balls to the upper deck, but good 50, 60 feet foul.
Again, the 2-2. That is up the middle, a base hit. Marte scores. Here comes Tabata in right behind him. 2-0 Pirates. 2 out, 2-run single for Andrew McCutchen.
Nice clutch hit. Takes advantage of the 2 runners in scoring position. Got a ball outside. Really didn't try and pull it that much. Took it back through the middle. The location might have even been off the plate a little. Reach out, smack it right back over the mound.
For McCutchen, RBIs 43 and 44. 3 straight hits off Cole Hamels. Gabby Sanchez fouls it back. And the Pirates score first this year. Their record is 33 and 13.
These are the Philly guys that are talking to the Philly announcers now. Oh, look at them hanging their heads. Been a long season for Philly.
Phillies are 5 games under 500 at 40 and 45. Not what they've been accustomed to in recent years. The bar is pretty high. It's been set pretty high for Charlie Manuel's Phillies. One and one to Gabby Sanchez. Sanchez, good numbers against Cole Hamels. He is 9 for 31.
A couple of home runs.
2 home runs.
Excellent numbers in batting cleanup this year. And he's been hitting really well at late. So everything was kind of pointing his direction this afternoon.
Pirates picked up Sanchez at the deadline last year. Pirates were in Chicago at Wrigley Field. And he joined them.
Against Hamilton we're talking about.
Sanchez, a couple of hops to Jimmy Rollins. Good force out of McCutchen at second base. 2 runs, 3 hits. 1 man left, 1 Philadelphia error. 2-0 Pirates.
Now's the time to go places with Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com for special offers. And buy PNC for the achiever in you. Let's go Bucks!
One earned run, one unearned, but they both count. 2-0. Pirates with the lead. Andrew McCutchen, a 2-run, 2-out single. Puts the Bucks on the board. They strike first in this rubber game of the 3-game series. His boots were made for walking.
Well, one thing that Cole, pretty much has enjoyed is decent run support from the Pirates. They've come out here in the first third of the ball game, giving him a couple of runs to work with.
Cole with 4 strikeouts. And he will face Ryan Howard, Dominic Brown, and Delman Young, 4, 5, and 6 in the Philadelphia order. Ryan Howard, a base hit in the second inning. Shift is on for Howard, as it will be with most situations with nobody on, or maybe just a man at first, but here leading off the inning. Some go the other way against the shift. Had a solid single though to left field, but trying to go the other way when the Pirates are giving him the left side of the infield.
If you look at the where Marte is, and they're looking at him right now, he actually is swung over, kind of guarding the line on Howard. And that's not really all uncommon. Most of the times you'll play differently in the infield than you'll play in the outfield. Marte actually had to move to his left to make that catch of that sinking liner. Guys will pull on the ground. It's just natural that, most of your ground balls, you roll your wrist over, and then when you lift the ball in the air, a lot of times it's center field or whatever your off field is. That's why I always say, if you get that runner at third with less than 2 outs and you're trying to get a ball to the outfield, you really should be trying to hit the ball the other direction. That's how you're most likely to hit a fly ball. I like that logo. That's one of my favorite Pirate logos.
Oh, that's what I've got on my scorebook.
Yeah, I see that.
It's my scorebook cover is that logo.
You must like that one too.
I think so. Brown pops this one up right side. Gabby Sanchez makes the catch, and there are 2 gone for the Phillies in the 4th.
Another thing that you like to see out of any pitcher, especially a young guy, to get you a couple runs, go out there and have a quick inning. As always, he's pounding the strike zone. 11 first pitch strikes.
Delman Young, a bouncing ball to short, and Barmes throws him out. Now that is a quick inning. Took him just 8 pitches to retire the 3 Philadelphia Phillies who came up against him.
another good project, the Wounded Warrior Project. And joining us right now is Oscar Aguilera. He's the project coordinator for Project Odyssey, who before the game today was presented with a $5,000 check from Pirates Charities and PNC Bank, and that goes toward the Wounded Warrior Project. Oscar, what was it like just to have that check presentation on the field going to your operation?
It was a humbling experience, and we appreciate everything the PNC as well as the Pirate organization has done to recognize Wounded Warrior Project. So it's extremely humbling and honoring.
You know, many of us have heard about the Wounded Warrior Project, but for those viewers that may not know what specifically the Wounded Warrior Project is, what can you tell us about it and what do you provide?
The Wounded Warrior Project is a nonprofit organization that helps support our warriors returning from overseas and transitioning themselves into their new lives coming back from combat.
And we got 4 soldiers right here, Ben and Jeremy and Will and the rest of the guys as part of the Wounded Warrior Project. What has your relationship been like, Oscar, just with the Pirates, and what do you think about the support that they have given to this?
The support has been tremendous from the Pirates as well. A great welcoming from the city of Pittsburgh for the Wounded Warrior Project in this city.
And we're glad to have you here. You boys having fun today?
We're having a blast.
Very nice. And Tim, they've got their families out here hanging out. The kids are running around like crazy, eating everything they could possibly eat, but there's smiles on everybody's faces here.
That's good. We want them to be happy today. You can hear them screaming in the background there.
Oh, it's a great afternoon. Beautiful out. And the Pirates got a 2-run lead. Cole looking good. Couldn't be better.
And here are one of these screaming kids. What do you have to say? Say, let's go, Bucks.
Let's go, Bucks. Let's hope the Phillies go back where they came from.
How about that for a little trash
Yeah,
talk, huh?
send them straight back. I like it.
Getting educated early.
Well said. Well said. Show him where the Philly bus is after the game so he can explain to them how they need to go back. Phillies will be going back. This is the end of a long road trip for those guys.
It is. They've been on the road a lot this year. And not fared as well as they would have liked to on the road. 21-27 away from Philadelphia. So Martin breaks his back. Kevin Franzen makes the catch, and there's one out in the Pirates' 4th. Including last night's loss. The Phillies 21-27. They're 27 road losses, tied for 4th most in the majors. Not scoring a lot on the road either. Charlie Manuel obviously concerned about that. 3.6 runs per game on the road. That's 4th worst in the majors.
He is an offensive guy. He likes the hitting. He likes the guys that knock them baseballs around, whether they're small or the size of your head.
Alvarez takes a ball. Baker went down swinging in the 2nd. Ball and 2 strikes to Pedro. Pitch from Cole Hamels. Alvarez strikes out for the 2nd time. 2 men out in the 4th. On Twitter, Pittsburgh James C80. Nothing more American than this. Look at that quote. Toddler and the Pirates jumper. Putting the flag in the ground.
Now that picture is the 4th of July right there. It's definitely.
See 4th of July bunting out around PNC Park today. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Make sure you take that bunting down, keep it nice and neat. I think we're going to be using that later on this season.
October.
It'll be October bunting.
It'll be Bucktober.
Fold it up nice. Keep it clean. We're going to be using it.
Neil Walker, 1 ball, 2 strikes. 0-for-1 for Walker. He grounded out to Chase Utley at second base. It's 2-2. He's been pretty steady over his last 10 games, hitting just a little bit above 300. Pirates retired in order for the second time in the ball game. Heading to the 5th, 2-0 Pirates.
My 5-year-old son is the biggest Bucko fan ever. I know right now he's watching the Bucko game, right now waiting for his favorite baseball player, Andrew McCutchen, to blast a shot over the wall. To my amazing wife, my wonderful son, I want to say I love you both very much, and I can't wait to come home and root on the Pirates together with you at PNC Park. Say it with me, son. Let's go, Bucks!
Says it like he means it.
Yeah, that's the way you're supposed to say it.
That's it. Well, son will be happy that McCutchen has both Pirate RBIs.
Clutch hit for Kutch.
Well, there's an outfit, huh?
Yes, sir.
Hope you're enjoying your 4th with us here on Root Sports. For the troops today, Andrew McCutchen, 1 for 2, 2 RBIs. McCutchen giving the fans
somebody
in that area a souvenir.
You know, all the Pirate fans, of course, they love Kutch. But how about those bleachers in right center? That is his spot.
That's where his crew hangs out.
They worship it. He takes care of them every inning with a baseball.
Kevin Franzen takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Franzen flying to right field in the 2nd inning. And the 1-1 pitch. Low for a ball, 2-1.
Fair ball. Fair ball.
It is a fair ball. Sat right in front of home plate in fair territory. Franzen thought it was a foul. And you saw home plate umpire Chris Conroy point straight out. I mean, that's a fair ball. Franzen can't believe it.
Yeah, I don't know what Franzen's argument is. Unless he thought it was the ball hit something, either his body or it maybe hit the bat twice. But, I mean, there's no argument the ball was in fair territory. The only thing that could be an argument was, did the ball hit the bat twice? You see that sometimes happen in last night's ball game,
exactly,
as a matter of fact. That's, I mean, how is that possibly anything but a fair ball?
Straight out in front of home plate.
I mean, what is the argument there? I don't understand what they were saying. Good replay there.
That says it all.
That definitely told the story.
Carlos Ruiz will take outside 2-0. Ruiz is 0 for 1. He grounded out to Clint Barnes in the third inning. First time up. Goes to right field for a 1-out single. Time is running out to vote for your 2013 All-Star selections. You can help send your favorite Pirates to the All-Star game by voting up to 35 times at Pirates.com. Vote exclusively at Pirates.com or on your mobile phone. Voting ends tonight, 1 minute before midnight, 11:59 p.m. So get online somehow, some way, Pirates.com, and vote. Hamels, sacrifice bunt. Cole throws to Walker covering, 2 men out. 6th time Cole Hamels has sacrificed successfully for the Phillies.
Get that sacrifice bunt as far as the way he got it accomplished. A little talk about signs, just make sure that's okay. And probably also something in there about the hitter. What they want to do with Revere. Revere got that. He's got 2 hits. With that hit in the first. It's 2 for 2.
Revere wants to get back to the top of the order. Michael Young has been leading off. Young has the day off today. Revere 2 for 2. Since the 1st of May, he's been hitting .326 in 56 games. Best average among all National League center fielders.
You know what really amazes me, though, is his lack of extra base hits, considering how fast he is.
Yeah, 7 doubles, 2 triples.
He's got 9 extra base hits on the season.
No home runs. And he is 3 for 3. Ruiz is going to get waved home. McCutchen guns this one out of play. And that's going to put the runner at third base. And Andrew McCutchen with a very inaccurate throw. 2-1.
You know, I'm not sure even if this ball is on target. If he was going to throw the runner out, he had to run quite a ways laterally before he could come in to get this ball. Probably should have just threw the ball to second base and kept Revere at first.
And Clint Hurdle is involved in a discussion. So is Charlie Manuel.
This is about where the runner should be.
What's Charlie asking?
I think Charlie wants the runner to score.
He's not going to get it.
Ball went out, and he hadn't got to second base yet.
So it'll be scored as a base hit. Revere going to second on the throw, to third on the throwing error. The word from the official score.
You get 2 bases on that.
That's why I don't think the information's accurate on the going to second on the throw. I think if they're giving them 2 bases on a ball out of play, that's what they did after the base hit. No balls and 1 strike to Chase Utley.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I guess he went to all the way to third on the error. But he would have been at second if the ball hadn't got. Let's say it's up against the backstop, he would have been in second. Now, scoring decisions are probably the most confusing thing for me in baseball. We're always talking about them, and I never understand.
Yeah, there are some things about scoring that make you scratch your head, and then when you think about it, you go, oh, okay, now I get it. but there are some confusing things from time to time. Ben Revere, the tying runs at third. Chase Utley, a 1-2 count. Garrett Cole's pitch fouled off. Stays 1-2 to Utley. Utley doubled in the third inning. Utley has hit now in 10 of his last 12 games. Stretched by Cole, and the 1-2 coming. Down to first base. Gabby Sanchez will handle it. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error. Halfway home at PNC Park, it's 2-1. In 1976, as our country celebrated the bicentennial, the Pirates and Phillies played a doubleheader at Three River Stadium. The Phillies won the game, first game behind Steve Carlton, as his battery mate Tim McCarver hit a home run with the bases loaded, but was only credited with a 3 RBI single when he passed Gary Maddox on the bases. In Game 2, Bruce Keeson pitched 7 shutout innings, allowing just 2 hits for the win. He also had one of the Buccos' 3 triples on the day. Thanks to Day Automotive, we're going to make your day. Talk about confusing scoring decisions. Hits a grand slam and gets a 3-run single. McCarver did that day.
Well, that's another example of a guy going back to tag up for no reason.
So Barmas flies out quickly.
Maddox wasn't tagging up at first base. McCarver wouldn't have passed him. It would have been a grand slam.
Pirates with a 2-1 lead, 1 out. Bottom of the 5th, here's Garrett Cole. Cole is 0 for 1. He struck out swinging. That was in the 4th inning, 3rd inning, beg your pardon. One-run ball game, something that's not been uncommon to the Pirates. They won a 1-run ball game last night, 6-5. Last 10 home games that have been decided by a 1-run margin. Won by the bunch, and Hamels will throw out Cole. And now there are 2 men out for the Pirates. Back to the top of the order, and Starling Marte. Well, that from the back of the rotunda, looking down on the left field foul pole.
That really has become a favorite place for people to stand and watch the ball game. Even if they have seats somewhere, they go and stand there. And it is a great shot. Absolutely beautiful location. On radio days, when I'm on radio and we do the pregame, I walk over the rotunda every night to go to the radio postgame booth. And the lights are always on, everything. And I stop there and look out over the field. It's such a great view, and I can understand why you'd like to watch at least a couple innings from that perspective.
Gets you inside to Marte, ball 1. It's just a great view, and anytime we get a chance to walk out there, and I always want to look back on the field, see that.
You can look down the river a little bit. It's just a great spot. Fantastic spot. There it is. I like the wide shots, you know that. I like to be able to see everything, take it all in.
Ball and 2 strikes to Marte now.
Certainly taking everything up there.
Such a unique feature, too. No other place like that in baseball.
Brilliant design of a ballpark when they put pen to paper for this place. Or I get pencil. It's drafting. They use pencils.
Do they? Yeah. Okay.
Of course, I doubt if they use pencils when they. I'm sure it was all on a computer somewhere. That's from the other corner, way up high. Looking back the other direction.
Starling Marte fouled this one off of the knee. Off the right knee, squarely. So he had to shake it off. 2 outs, base is empty. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the Pirate leadoff hitter. 91 hits this year for Marte so far. Hamels 1-2. Do it again. These fans here came all the way from New Zealand to see the Pirates at PNC Park. Good on you.
Bunch of Kiwis.
Some Kiwis there.
Look, they know where to watch the game from.
1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. A 1-2-3 inning. And Hamels has now retired 7 in a row. It's 2-1. Pirate lead after 5. Holiday at PNC Park. We head to the top of the 6th inning. Pirates ahead of the Phillies 2-1. Very happy to have with us Colleen Wells, who we saw earlier in one of Robbie's reports, who was holding up the sign for Operation Troop Assistance, and being a longtime military wife. A day like today, your husband is deployed overseas. Is it a good reminder today about freedom and about what your husband has been doing to make sure that we have all we have?
Most definitely. When I see all the American flags out there today and everyone's saying support our troops, it's very heartwarming. It really hits home because, I don't have the advantage of having my husband at home. So to know that we have all this patriotism here, I'm stuttering here, going on, it really makes you very heartwarming.
And your husband's been deployed 5 times. He's been away from home a lot, and it's difficult to contact him. Isn't it difficult to stay in touch with him?
A lot of the deployments, yes, it is. I mean, this deployment we got very fortunate because we have iPhones, so we're able to text each other. But as far as FaceTime and Skype, it's not very easy because the satellites go down a lot. So when my husband called me last time, I didn't even recognize his voice, and I hung up on him.
Well, let's see if you can recognize his voice right now, because we have him on the line. He is joining us from Kuwait, Sergeant Robert Wells. The Wells family reunited here on Root Sports from McKeesport. Sergeant Wells, say hello to Colleen.
Hey, baby.
Hi, baby. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great, babe. I'm wearing your jersey, so I got you with me.
You guys are on live TV, so just,
There's no fireworks.
No fireworks. Sure.
So you having fun at the game?
I am having a great time. I wish you were here. I do have you with me in heart. I got my American flag pin on and your jersey, so it feels like you're hugging me all day long.
Oh, I love you, babe.
Love you too, babe.
Now, you went to make this phone call, Sergeant. You did not just absolutely just pick up the phone. You had to walk a little ways. And how hot is it there in Kuwait right now?
It's about 105, 106 right now. The sun's went down. It's 10 o'clock at night here.
It wasn't necessarily your average phone call. There he is. There's Sergeant Wells, and the group he is deployed with. Sergeant, what can you tell us about what you're doing in Kuwait?
Right now, we're basically doing a support mission. We're supporting everything from closing down a couple of bases here in Kuwait to assisting EOD, explosive ordnance detail, transporting a lot of materials back and forth between different locations in Kuwait.
5th time you've gone to Kuwait. What keeps you going back?
It's my job. I can't say no. I mean, if your unit's deploying, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta suck it up and you move on. I mean, it's hard on the family life, but you gotta do what you gotta do to take care of the country.
We understand that you've gone to great lengths to get out of house renovation. That's what we understand from Colleen.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'd rather. Yeah.
I painted the foundation when we first bought our house, so yes.
Foul ball off the bat of Ryan Howard. Jimmy Rollins struck out to start the inning, so 1 out, nobody on, and Howard at the plate with a 3-2 count. I know you follow the Buccos too, Sergeant. You've got to be pretty excited about what this Pirates team is doing. Do you have a chance to follow them much when you're deployed?
I check the stats when I can online, and if I'm able to get to like the USO to watch some TV, I'll try to catch a game if it's not too late or I don't have an early mission the next day.
Anything you guys need to talk about?
No.
I'm doing good, babe.
Anything
a few more days.
The yards or anything like nothing like that, huh?
I cut the grass this week, so we're good.
One of the things for me to do.
Sergeant, you must be very proud of Colleen and the things that she does to support you guys, and it's got to be great to have that kind of family support here at home.
It is. I mean, her. I think sometimes she has it harder back home than I have it when I'm deployed. I mean, granted, I might be over doing bad things, but she's basically by herself. I have my troopers with me, so to lean on, but she's doing it most of the time on her own. So I'm very proud of her.
And also, you've got to be proud too of her involvement with Operation troop appreciation and what she does, not just for you, but for a lot of the other deployed men and women who are overseas serving our country?
I'm definitely proud because, they do so much for our troops that are deployed. I mean, a lot of troops, they get stuff that troops can't get on their own, or if they're going to get it, they'd have to put out of their own pockets. And Operation Troop Appreciation really helps out. Especially, there's a lot of soldiers that don't have anybody back home to send them things. So OTA really picks up the ball there and sends care packages. And these guys that wouldn't get anything normally actually get stuff from OTA. It's a huge morale booster.
In 2009, Robert, your Humvee was involved in a situation with an explosive device, and this is just obviously part of the risk involved. And some of the pictures right here, we're seeing what was left of the Humvee. Obviously, being in harm's way. For you, Colleen, what's that like? Being here at home, knowing that things like that are possible?
Well, I never expected that because I deal with a lot of the families during the family readiness group when soldiers are deployed. When you deal with something like this, you're always trying to make that morale booster with all the other families, but you never expect yourself to be in that same situation. So when you have a 2-star general, calling your house and saying, Mrs. Wells, I need you to sit down, and you try to confirm questions and seeing these type of pictures, it really hits home, and it still has a very soft spot in my heart, even though it was back in 2009.
Dominic Brown, a base hit to right field, and now the Phillies with 2 on and 1 out. And Robert, from your perspective, you've got people at home worried about you. And you were the one involved in the action. How did you feel through the whole process?
My main thing was being able to. I knew they were going to be calling her. I was just frantic, trying to get to a phone to let them know that, hey, I'm in the hospital. I'm not deceased. But when you're going through the whole medical process and when you're medevac, the last thing they're worried about is giving you a phone to call home and let them know you're not dead. So it's really hectic. You got 10,000 things running through your mind all at once. It's kind of hard.
Well, Garrett Cole has been relieved of duty here this afternoon. The young pitcher coming out of the ball game with a 2-1 lead in the top of the 6th. We'll keep it here through the pitching change as the Pirates will now turn to a reliever, a right-hander, Vin Mazzaro. And with the Phillies now threatening with 1 out to get the tying run in scoring position. But again, we're visiting with Sergeant Robert Wells and his wife Colleen Wells. Sergeant Wells is deployed in Kuwait. He knows exactly what he does. All I know is he deals with explosive devices, which can't be the safest job in the world. But again, we appreciate all that you do, Sergeant. Being from McKeesport, being from the Pittsburgh area, you've got to be proud not only to talk about Pirates baseball, but I'm sure the Pittsburgh sports scene as a whole with a lot of people you're deployed with. Now, are you having people pat you on the back over there saying, hey, way to go, Bucks?
Honestly, a lot of from my unit is not from Western PA. It's up towards more the Harrisburg area, and unfortunately, a lot of them are Philly fans.
So they're not exactly patting you on the back. They're giving you dirty looks.
No, they're not really.
Well, that's all right, because if you look at the Philly sports right now compared to Pittsburgh sports, I think we definitely have the upper hand.
We're definitely
there's some bragging rights involved there for sure.
Oh yeah.
Colleen, earlier, you were talking about things that people could do to help out, how to make donations and things of that sort, to your organization. One, could you do that again? And how do you find out what is needed?
Well, if you go to OperationTroopAppreciation.org, there is actually a list. And if you're not sure what to give, you could give a donation right there online. A lot of people put, towels. It could be a simple razor. It could be a toothpaste. Surprisingly, a lot of soldiers may not get, boots. I remember before I even met Operation Troop Appreciation, I had to send my husband desert boots because they didn't have any when he went over. So it's one of those things where you could just take a look at. As long as it's not an IED you're sending over, we're good. We don't need any more of those.
Anything over there for him to dispose of. Well, if there's some place again, I think it was a Monroeville Mall or something.
It is Century 3 Mall. They're
Mall.
located right out of J.C. Penney's, right on the bottom floor. You could go there, I believe, Saturdays between 11 and 4 and drop off donations. It's a great organization. 98% automatically goes to the troops, and everyone is a volunteer, and that's what makes it heartwarming.
Delman Young with a base hit. Now the Phillies with the bases loaded. Both of you are doing tremendous work. We're happy that we were able to spend this time with both of you, Sergeant Robert Wells and his wife Colleen Wells, talking on the phone for the first time since Easter, we understand.
He tried calling me the other day, but I hung up on him because I thought it was a stranger danger type thing. So I didn't recognize him. Sorry, babe.
Well, we're happy to help get you guys together today. Thanks and happy 4th of July to both of you.
Thank you. Love you, babe.
Thank you. Love you too, baby.
Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Well, there's one out now in the Phillies half of the 6th inning. Franson, a shallow fly ball, and Talbot is not going to get to it. Phillies are going to tie the ball game. Ryan Howard comes in to score. That run charged to Cole Hamels. It's now 2-2.
Yeah, that's too bad. Just a very weak little jam shot that just falls in at the wrong time. You know, off the bat, it really doesn't look like much at all. And it wasn't much, but it was enough.
Franson with an RBI single. Garrett Cole charged with that run. I believe I said Hamels. They're both Cole. So he will not get a win today. And he could be on the hook because Dominic Brown is still his.
We could use a double play ball here.
One out. And the 0-1 coming to Carlos Ruiz. Base is still full. Nothing in 2 to Ruiz. There was a patch of Phillies fans trying to start a chant, but now they're being drowned out by 30,000 plus Pirates fans. 2 balls, 2 strikes, goes to 1-2.
A strikeout would be almost as good as a double play ball.
Rollins struck out to start the inning, then Ryan Howard walked. Dominic Brown a base hit, and that chased Garrett Cole. Delman Young a base hit on Vin Mazzara, who came in, and then Franzen dropped one into right field that Tabata couldn't get to. Three hits in the inning, and 1 run has come in. The Phillies are out hitting the Pirates 10-4.
No, that was the strikeout pitch. Get him the chase. Able to check the swing. You know, now with the bases loaded, you don't want to go to a full count. You want to make something happen right now. You want to put yourself in a position where if you miss, you can walk in a run. And that's what's happened.
Vin Mazzara was absolutely perfect coming out of the bullpen on Sunday. Pitched 5 perfect innings. The first Pirate since Elmer Ponder pitched 5 2/3 perfect innings on July 23rd, 1919. An unusual feat. Right here, he needs an out. And he's not going to get it. And Garrett Cole is going to be on the hook as Brown comes in to score. Here comes Young in behind him, and the Phillies now with a 4-2 lead. 3 straight hits off Mazzaro out of the bullpen. Hook is closed on Cole. He'll be charged for 3 runs.
Got that fastball inside. Might even been a ball. Could have been ball 4. Just fisted to the outfield. Last couple of hits not hit very hard at all, but well-placed bloopers. Cole could be looking at his first loss of his career. major league career anyway.
Tony Watson ready in the bullpen. The pitcher Cole Hamels is due up. So Garrett Cole will need Pirate bats to come back in this one and get him off the hook. Bad turn of events here in the 6th inning. Phillies with 3 runs on 4 hits. Franzen an RBI single. Ruiz drove in 2 runs. Oh, slaps that one foul. Nothing in 1. Hamels was 0 for 1. Struck out looking in the 3rd inning.
Got a pretty decent hole to hit to over on the left side because Pedro is in tight, almost on. In fact, now he is on the grass.
Looks like Hamels trying to go that way.
Pedro's coming in on the grass. That cuts down his left-right ability. So it just creates a bigger space to hit a ball through. And that certainly looked like what Hamels was trying to do in those first 2 pitches. He's trying to slap one through there.
And he hit him. Vin Mazzaro hits Cole Hamels. And the bases are loaded once again.
Just a great outing last time. A phenomenal outing. We're talking about it. This time, did not get an out. Hit Hamels in the foot.
Faced 4 men without recording an out. Gave up 3 hits and a hit batsman. And Clint Hurdle will turn to the left-hander Tony Watson when we come back.
Is brought to you by Barrel Automotive. We're driven to be better. And by Levin Furniture and the all-new Levin Mattress Stores. For a great deal on a new bed, shop Levin's. Let's go Bucks.
4-2. Phillies lead it. Top of the 6th inning. 1 man out. Bases loaded. The wheels wobbling here in the 6th. Tony Watson, 3rd pitcher used by the Pirates, has to face the leadoff man Ben Revere, who is 3 for 3 today. Phillies a chance to really break the game open. And Tony Watson trying to shut it down. Four for 11 in the series for Revere. This is the first game of the 3 that he has batted in the leadoff spot. 3 singles. He does have an RBI. And a slapper towards short. Barmas has it. And they'll get 1 out. 1 run's going to score. Franzen comes in. It's now 5-2.
Not really anything different they could have done about it. Right there, the only out you were going to get is just a one, though. Guy going to third. Some well hit, well placed balls by the Phillies this inning.
Pitcher Cole Hamels down there at second base, and Revere at first. 3-run lead now with Chase Utley at the plate. A 4-run sixth for Philadelphia. Strike to Utley. Utley struck out at his first at bat of the first inning, doubled in the third, and then grounded out to Gabby Sanchez at first base in the fifth. No strikes. 1-1, beg your pardon. First and second, 2 men out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now it's 1-2. Mazzaro, tough outing. His previous 3 outings, he hadn't given up a run. He was charged with 2. And the runners aboard. And the runner Hamels at second base, still his responsibility.
I know Ben's not going to feel pretty good at all about this outing, but again, it wasn't like he got hammered around a couple of gap shots or anything.
The tough one in the inning was Kevin Franzen's soft fly ball to shallow right field that Jose Tabla just couldn't get to.
You know, it's tough for a reliever when you come in. You got runners on base a lot of times. You can't be absolutely perfect every time, so you have to be a little thick-skinned. It's not just a closer that has to be like that. It's all the guys in the Shark Tank. Sometimes bad things are going to happen. It's not going to go your way, and you got to let it just roll off you, because you have to be ready again for tomorrow. Might be right back out there tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen in tomorrow's ball game. Not an easy job pitching out of that bullpen, mentally. Especially. Yeah, of course, you have the different physical challenges that the starter doesn't have to deal with. If sitting around for a week, not pitching, then maybe throwing 2-3 days in a row. Difficult job.
Two coming to Chase Utley from Tony Watson. Popped him up. Tabla circling behind it. They'll make the catch. Big inning for the Phillies. They send 9 men to the plate. 4 of them score. They now lead 5-2. On the line for the Pirates, and Cole Hamels pitching with a lead for the first time. Time for the whiff. Brought to you by Head and Shoulders, now with Old Spice.
If you watch the location on all these strike threes, you're going to see where most everybody gets the whiff. They get it out of the strike zone. They get it in chases. Only one strikeout, and it's going to be the last one. You can see is definitely in the strike zone. It's coming right now. A little change up to Marte. Got the swing and a miss. Most of the time, you got to get a chase.
Jose Tabata will try to start the comeback for the Pirates. I'll give you an idea of how things have gone for Cole Hamels. From April 7th through May 31st, the span of 62 innings, he did not pitch with a lead in a ball game.
He needs to learn to hit better.
So he's got a lead right now for Charlie Manuel's Phillies.
Well, let's hope it doesn't last for long. There's that change up again.
Out of 2 for 2. No ball, 2-strike pitch. Check swing over the Philly dugout. The next time the Pirates will see the Phillies will be in Florida. Spring training. It's the last meeting of the year.
If they get hot, grab a wild card spot.
Right at Chase Utley for out number 1.
Still a possibility.
Still possible. A lot of games left. Bucco fans, save big when you purchase the Pepsi Max Pack. Available every Friday and Sunday Pirates home game. Get a hot dog, pretzel, Pepsi product, and an outfield box seat, all for only $28. For tickets, go to pirates.com/Pepsi Max. He's hoping for a comeback. He's got both flags.
Plenty of time left. Just a 3-run lead. Get 3 runs.
Pirates had a 4-run inning in the 5th last night.
You can get them all back at once either. Get one here, one there. That'll work.
One ball and 1 strike, the count.
Pirates done a great job this year coming back from deficits.
Franzen gloves it. And retires McCutcheon. 2 men out.
Out on a changeup again. Looking at some of the averages that Hamels has on his changeup, opposition hitting just 152. On his curveball, opposition hitting just 120. Off his fastball, they're hitting well over 300. Up around the 320 mark. So it's the slow stuff, the off-speed pitches, that really is what he's got working for him this year. And there's another changeup. He's thrown a lot of those this afternoon.
One pitch to Gabby. To Sanchez. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Gabby had tremendous good numbers against Cole Hamels. 9 hits against him, 2 of those 9 home runs.
He's had him out in front. Well, that's what he's done with most everybody today. Almost got a foul ball with that glove.
One-two pitch. And Gabby lines one into the glove of a leaping Jimmy Rollins. Good play by Rollins. And the Pirates retired an order for the 3rd straight inning. 10 in a row set down by Hamels. Play Rollins just made on Gabby Sanchez, courtesy of the AGH cam. 5-2 as we go to the 7th. Phillies in front of the Pirates. This is the rubber game of a 3-game series with Robbie Ince-Mikowski and Bob Walk. I'm Tim Neverett. Glad you're with us here watching Pirates baseball on this 4th of July. Tony Watson will face Rollins to start the 7th. Rollins drops one into left field over the head of Barnes. Barnes made a good effort but couldn't get to it. And a base hit for Rollins. He's now 2 for 4.
It's kind of a little bit of the difference of the game. Not to take anything away from the Phillies right now. Their bloopers are falling in, and ours, at least some of them, definitely aren't. Rollins made that nice little grab to end the last inning. And this one just 6 inches over Barnes's glove. Certainly is a fine line sometimes between winning and losing in any particular baseball game. Got to have things go your way. This goes our way.
Pedro steps on second, throws to first, double play. 2 outs, base is empty.
He's had to do some work around the bag a couple of times now on double plays. Looks very comfortable doing it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's looking good.
Really kind of an easy one there, but no problems with the footwork.
Watson will now face Dominic Brown. He's 1 for 3. Singleton scored in the 6th inning. Chased the starter Garrett Cole out. Cole on the hook right now unless the Pirates can come back. By the way, 22 of the 52 wins the Pirates have are of the comeback variety. They've come back at some point in the game to win. Ball, 1 strike. Ball, 2 strikes now to Dominic Brown. Dominic Brown, possible all-star candidate from the Phillies. 22 home runs, 60 RBIs. Gets crowded in the outfield. Tough to make it as an outfielder.
Well, that's what most of your big numbers are.
Strike 3 call. The Brown goes down looking. No runs, a hit. That's it. Stretch time. Middle of the 7th. Here at PNC Park. 5-2 Phillies on this 4th of July. We'll let you enjoy today's rendition of God Bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you now to please rise as we honor our nation. Here to perform God Bless America, please welcome Shane Treelor.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Fans, it's time for the 7th inning stretch. We invite you to follow the bouncing Eaton Park
where winners eat fresh. And by Day Automotive, we're going to make your day. Let's go Bucks.
July 4th boating on the Allegheny River. The route has been going on. We had fireworks last night. Lots of boat traffic up here on PNC Park. Buccos trailing by 3 runs, 5-2 to the Philadelphia Phillies as we start the bottom half of the 7th inning. Cole Hamels pitching to Russell Martin, who is 0 for 2. Martin swings and fouls us off, strike 1. Pirates and Phils, 2nd through the 4th. Well, 1 coming to Russell Martin. He's got a base hit.
They've got to get something started. That might do it. Nobody out. Maybe not get all 3, like I said, but start chipping away a little. This ball well struck also. goes as a ground ball hit, but nothing to see an eye about it.
Pitches for Hamels. Pedro's due. He's 0 for 2. Struck out twice. And Hurdle talking about Pedro today, visiting with him in his office before the game, saying first pitch fastball 3-run home run last night. He said against the lefties he wants him to look for a fastball that's in the strike zone regardless of where it is in the strike zone.
Don't wait around, attack it.
This is the first pitch from Lannon. He did attack it. His at bat prior to that, the pitch was in the same exact spot. Pedro let it go for a strike. I think Pedro wishes he had that one back, and then Lannon breathed a sigh of relief that he got away with it.
I remember his first at bat, that's what happened. Ended up taking a fastball strike and then having to chase breaking balls.
It's time now for today's AGH Sports Medicine injury update. James McDonald got a second opinion yesterday on his right shoulder. Dr. Keith Meister. Dr. Meister confirmed the initial diagnosis of the Pirates medical staff that the injury is a case of tendonitis and inflammation. J-Mac will take the next 2 weeks off from throwing before being reevaluated. Injury update brought to you by our friends at Allegheny Sports Medicine, official medical provider of the Pirates. Walker pops this one back of the plate and into the seats. Well, James McDonald shut down basically for a couple of weeks, and then see where he goes from there. By the way, A.J. Burnett threw another bullpen today, and there is a possibility he could start Sunday against the Chicago Cubs. Clint telling me today it's either between AJ or Janmar Gomez at this point, but could be AJ if he's ready. Which means there'll be no rehab for him, no rehab outings for him. He'll just go right back to it. When AJ was asked about not going on rehab, he said he didn't hurt his arm, hurt his leg. So his arm's fine. 0-2 pitch to Neil Walker. Up high, 1-2. NC Park just buzzing with activity today in this fourth. Inside, and it's 2-2. How about that guy behind the plate? That's an odd ball.
Doesn't move.
He did put a hat on.
Hanging right in there. Yeah, it got hot.
Three and two. So Ryan Reed standing on top of the mound of the Pirates bullpen. Justin DeFreitas for the Phillies loosening up. Full count, 1 out. Russell Martin, the runner at first. Leadoff single for Russ. 3-2. Walker will get another pitch.
Pitch number 100. And nowadays, it's different teams handle things a little differently, but pretty much that's going to be the end of the afternoon for the starter when he hits that central mark.
To right field. Young with the catch. Back to first, and Martin beats the throw. Wow.
Closer than I thought it was going to be. A nice throw by Young. You can take some chances in right field here because you don't have to play all that deep with that shallow Clemente wall behind you, and it gives you an opportunity to make some throws to first base. also going just far enough to where he can get back if the ball is caught. Had it measured pretty much right on the nose, didn't he?
He did. Barnes nearly nicked by the pitch. Somehow it avoided him. Reds and Giants supposed to play today. Rained out in Cincinnati.
Ohio looks like it's covered with the big green blob.
Over to right center, and over there is Delman Young. And Barmes is 0 for 3. Martin, leadoff single. Pirates can't get him around.
And may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Andrew McCutchen and the Pirates trailing 5-2 as we go to the 8th inning. 12 hits for the Phillies, just 5 for the Pirates, and one of them off the bat of McCutchen produced 2 runs.
That looked good there for a while early in the ball game. Got off to the 2-run lead, but the offense quit hitting, and the Phillies kept finding some holes.
A double switch puts Jordy Mercer in there at shortstop. He'll bat 9th and lead off in the bottom of the 8th inning. And Ryan Reed, the new pitcher, hitting in Barmes' spot 8th. Reed takes over for Tony Watson. Day for an ice cream. Warm today, 86 at game time. Delman Young will lead off for Philadelphia. Lines one into the gap in right center field. Cut off by Tabata for a long single. Well, a special message was sent to Root Sports, and give it to you right now. The 171st Security Forces team deployed in Southwest Asia would like to extend their condolences to the View family of Venetia, Pennsylvania. 24-year-old senior airman Thomas View lost his father on the 18th of June. Unfortunately, with the time difference, Thomas did not find out until Father's Day. And they would like to express to him and his family that the loss of any family member of any of our team deployed is like a loss of our own. We only wish the best for Thomas and his family and want them to know that they're in our thoughts and prayers. John Mayberry going to pinch run here for Delman Young. Want to know to Franzen. That's outside.
Charlie Manuel's got to be enjoying all these base hits. Talked earlier about him being a manager who loves the offense. I think he's probably the only manager in baseball that would like a good 9-8 win.
Yeah, yeah, he likes those. And he also likes the fact that they've scored more than 3 runs here. They've averaged 3.6 runs a game on the road. They've got 5 here today. He and Michael Young having a little laugh. Two and one to Kevin Franzen. The timer's called. Carlos Ruiz on deck. 2 for 3 for him. A pair of runs batted in. So he has been producing from the bottom part of the order, hitting in the 8th spot today.
He was such a big part of their offense last season. Not so much this year.
Ruiz had a 50-game suspension. PEDs had served that suspension. 2-2. Each pitch fouled back. Top of the 8th inning. Nobody out, 1 on. Mayberry the pinch runner. Running for Delman Young.
What that noise was, might have been able to hear in the background. Horn or whistle blowing. Moving. I think the river is running rather swiftly right now. It's a little muddy.
Franzen hit. Reed threw it inside. Let's see if he tries to get out of the way.
It's not really that far inside at all.
Almost put his elbow in the way. Yeah, he did.
Pretty much just kind of stuck it out there, and looks like he's wearing something that allows him to do that.
So Franzen hits the pitch. Instead of being hit by it, he hit it. Evan Slayers. At what point does a pitch reach its peak speed on its way to the plate?
About a 1/4 inch after it leaves your fingertips. Because from that point on, it's fighting the air all the way in and slowing down. And in fact, I think it loses. It depends on who's throwing it, but probably about 8 miles an hour on its trip to the plate. Miles an hour. Miles per hour.
Now, what happens if your fingers are messy with blue or pink cotton candy?
Cotton candy actually can add velocity to it, because of the fact that when you're pulling down through your fastball, you're adding RPMs to the ball, and when it's spinning faster, it'll allow it to cut through the air cleaner.
Fans, don't believe a word he's saying. Do not believe what he's talking about. It's just
that will add something to your speed.
Bob. I thought you were going to say, well, it's made of sugar, so it gives the ball energy.
Let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Why in the old days did pitchers sneak sticky stuff in their glove out to the mound if there was no reason to have it?
Well, get better grip.
A little curveball action there. Yeah, to add a little spin to the baseball, so the ball's not slipping off your fingers.
Okay, if you snuck pine tar out there in your glove somewhere, or in your belt or whatever,
I'll show you right where.
You're going to get a better.
Right here.
You're going to get a better.
Right there.
Right.
That's where it goes.
Yeah, that's where. Did you put it there?
No. I just
somebody told you to. Wilson Martin will field. He throws and he gets Ruiz. Runners move up. Mayberry down to third base. Franzen over to second.
Martin has certainly makes all the plays why he has that Gold Glove. Way out from behind the plate. Look how far he is out on the grass to get this ball. Excellent job. Got him by a stride. Get that gold Rawlings tag right on his chest protector.
Infield comes in with one out, and Charlie Manuel will send up a pinch hitter, Michael Young. Starting third baseman. Coming off the bench to pinch hit. Phillies look to add on. Runners at second and third. But back to your point, anything that you're going to sneak out there, whether it helps the pitcher or not, it probably would. But the one thing you're not going to sneak out there is something that you take from cotton candy. You're not going to get your fingers all sticky with that.
No, usually it's something a little different. Although I'm thinking about the cotton candy maybe would have been a better idea, especially nowadays, because you're allowed to lick your fingers. See, now that's not against the rules anymore. You used to not be able to lick your fingers. Now you can. So cotton candy actually would work better now. Used to be a balk if you went to your mouth. Now you can do that. You had to leave the mound to be totally correct. You used to have to walk out on the grass if you wanted to lick your fingers.
So if we start seeing cotton candy show up in the dugouts, we know there's trouble brewing.
They're taking sticky stuff out to the mound with them. There's a lot of double bubbles. 300 pieces. I wonder how many they go through in one game. A whole bucket?
He might go through a lot of it.
That was just Clint's bucket.
Marte will get under it.
Everybody tagging.
Mayberry's going to tag. Throw comes toward third, and the Phillies now lead it 6-2. Young comes up with a pinch hit sacrifice fly on RBI. Franzen at second.
Now remember earlier I said it's not a good play to tag at second base when there's already one out, because when the ball's caught it's going to be two. But when there's a runner at third that's tagging, you got to go back, because if the throw goes all the way to the plate, then you can move up. And that's what happened there. Everybody tags. The trail runner kind of watching developments in front of him to see where that throw goes. Is it airmailed all the way? Is it a rainbow to the plate? Can it be cut off?
Over here to center field. McCutchen there. Phillies get another run on a hit. One man left. Pirates now down by 4 runs.
troops here on July 4th, and the Pirates have long had a history of military appreciation programs, and they have one going on today where 10,000 military tickets had been passed out to service members and their families, including this gentleman right here. This is Brian Cope. He's from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Brian, 23 years old, you're in the Army Reserves and a lifelong Pirates fan. What's it like sitting here on the 4th of July, being a member of our military and watching baseball?
You know, it's a great time. You know, it's a little hot, but you're with your family and your friends, you can't beat it. It's July 4th. It's time to celebrate, have a good time, watch the Buccos. Hopefully get that win, you know?
Well, this is a team you obviously can't give up on. They've had a lot of comeback wins thus far in the season. But the military appreciation, you being a baseball fan, I saw your phone screen is a Pirates logo. What does it mean to you just to have your hometown ball club give to the military like that?
You know what? It's a great time, you know? It's nice that they're winning and they give out to the family and friends, and you come here and just have a great time with all your friends. You can't beat it. It's a great time.
And a lot of smiles, a lot of fun back here. Now, here's a unique tie-in. Now, last inning, we saw this young lady. Her name is Marley, and she's been having a good time with this cotton candy right here. Robert Douglas, he's also a friend of Brian's, and he's a member of the Army Reserves as well. And how long is she going to be awake for when you get home?
She'll be up until about 10 o'clock tonight.
About 10 o'clock tonight. Now, where did she get her, I can't think of the word, for cotton candy? Yeah, when did she start? Oh, we get a base hit there. When did she start her love with cotton candy?
This is actually the first time she's had it like this, but I'd say her love for candy came from her mom.
All right, well, let's hope she enjoys it. She gets to bed at somewhat a decent hour, okay?
Yeah, I hope so, too.
Thank you for your service, Robert.
Thank you.
All right, Tim?
All right, Robbie. Yep, she'll be wired. Pirates in a sticky situation, down by 4 runs, 6-2, but Mercer with the leadoff base hit. Here is Starling Marte now. Some changes to tell you about as Marte takes a strike. Mayberry remains in the game and is playing right field. Freitas, the pitcher, ready for the 0-1. Marte fouls it off. There's former Bucco John McDonald. Now at Philadelphia by way of Cleveland. He is at third base. Here is Justin DeFreitas and his numbers. '25th appearance for DeFreitas. He appeared in Game 1 Tuesday night.
It's really tough giving up that run, and now it's a 4-run deficit, so it's not looking good at this point for the Pirates. But how crazy would this place go this afternoon if they did pull off another one of those great come from behind wins? You can just get the feeling that it's ready to explode here. The 4th of July, just a little electricity in the air, just waiting for something. The Pirates need to do something to get them up and get them yelling. A couple of base hits in a row, I think, will do it.
We've got to work on the Phillies bullpen. Since the 7th of June, 7 of the Phillies' 15 losses have been charged to the bullpen. Justin DeFreitas has 3 losses over that stretch. Down the right field side, and that ball is going to slide.
I was looking down at Marte, and I could see he wasn't running hard. He was leaning, trying to hit that ball to go fair, and you know it's not looking good. The hitters always have the perfect view of whether that ball is going to be fair or not. They can see it slicing.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Starling Marte. Mercer gets his lead off of first, held on by Ryan Howard. Marte singled and scored in the 3rd inning, so looking for another hit, the multi-hit effort perhaps. Flashes that into center field for a base hit. 2 on and nobody out. The Buccos setting up shop here in the 8th inning.
One more base hit away.
Here's a look at the road ahead for the Pirates, brought to you by Nissan. Pirates will head to Chicago after the game today, and tomorrow it'll be left-hander Francisco Liriano taking the hill at Wrigley. Liriano had a decision in each of his 10 starts. He's 7-3 with a .223 earned run average. For the Cubs, it'll be their opening day starter, Jeff Samardzija, who is 5-7 with a .334 earned run average.
I think we knocked Samardzija around a little bit last time, didn't we?
Yes.
I remember right?
Yes. Frankie going tomorrow. Liriano's been quite a find for the Pirates.
Great addition to this year's team. Pitching has been so important. Bushes. They want Garrett to put one out there in the bushes. He's done that several times.
Garrett Jones.
They're getting ready. Starting to make some noise. Another base hit. It's a good hit. That'll be 6-3. There's the bushes.
That's where he likes to put them. On Tuesday night. Boom. Just missed the bushes. But that's okay. It's still 1 out.
Well, that's where he likes to try and hit the ball. He's always focused back through the middle. And obviously he's got power to go deep anywhere. We've seen him hit this monster home runs as far as distance. And so have the Phillies. They've seen some of his long balls.
Jones hitting for Tabata. Back to Saturday against Milwaukee, he did put one in the bushes. Let that one go. Ball 2. Talked to Garrett about his home run Tuesday. He said you missed the bushes by a little bit. He said I also hit it in the wrong at bat because he came up later with the bases loaded and struck out. Hit was just a solo shot. And Jones to center field, a base hit. Here comes Mercer around third. Throw's going to be cut off by Howard, and the Pirates get a run. It's 6-3. 3 straight hits off Justin DeFreitas, and the Pirates get another run up.
That's the base hit I was talking about. That's the one that's going to get everybody going. Flags are waving, everybody on their feet right now. Now you can feel that excitement. This ball just roped, and where did he hit it? Right back through the middle. That's where he wants to. That's when he's good. And Revere, not much of an arm out there at all. You can run on him all day. Basically, you're going to score without a throw with a base hit to center.
Marte at third base. Third pinch hit for Garrett Jones. He's 3 for 13 now. And here comes Andrew McCutchen waiting for the pitch.
He's a tying run.
Ball 1 to Kutch. Andrew drove in 2 in the 3rd inning with a base hit. Coming from DeFreitas. Ball 1 strike. I like to groan over the crowd on that call.
Only threw 2 pitches on the corner. One was called a ball, one was called a strike. It's what happens. It's 50-50 on those edge pitches.
Getting ahead, 2 balls, 1 strike. Ruiz with the block, and anytime you get Marte at third base, catcher has to be aware. Anything that gets away, Marte has a good chance to score. Still nobody out. Runners at the corners. Smiles. On the gun, and McCutchen swung through it.
It was middle of the plate and elevated. That's a fastball that Kutch doesn't miss very often. There it is, right in the middle of the plate, just a little above the belt.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch now. Full count at 3-2. Gary Sanchez waiting in the wings right now. And he's got his rally cap on the 4th of July. Pirates need a rally. They got one. Need more. Payoff pitch, ground ball to third. John McDonald flips to second for one, back to first. That's a double play. Marte comes in to score.
Didn't know if Marte was going to come in to score or not. He didn't break. That would have been a disaster for him to turn a double play and have Marte standing at third. Watch Marte. You can see he doesn't know which way to go, and didn't break until you saw him go for the double play. You would have rather it broke and maybe got in some kind of a rundown so they couldn't get 2 outs, keep the rally going. Now there's 2 outs, nobody on. They wouldn't have tried for they were going for double play all along. That's why you run home. It's because they are going to go for a double play every time. They should anyway. It was a great shot, isn't it? The AGH cam showing that bat come apart. The bat just kind of stopped for a moment, and then the head of the bat keeps going as it comes off the handle. It flew off the handle.
No reason for that.
No.
To left field and deep. Dominic Brown on the run in front of the warning track. He'll make the catch. Pirates get 2 back on 3 hits. They'll go to the 9th. It's now a 2-run ball game.
North Shores of Pittsburgh. I'm Robbie Mikowski. Throughout the day, we brought you many military personnel that have served our country, and we want to bring a special recognition to a young man who is about to serve our country. This is Private First Class Ryan Foose, who's from Wellsburg, West Virginia. He's graduated from U.S. Army Basic Training on June 20th. That was in Fort Benning, Georgia, as we see a photo with him and his parents. He'll be participating in the ROTC program at West Virginia University in the fall and will eventually be a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army upon graduation. So from all of us to you and your entire family, Ryan Foose, best wishes and thank you for your service to our country. Tim?
Good luck, Ryan. Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate it very much. Happy Independence Day. You're enjoying the day and hope you have some good plans for later. I was going to say, Bob, we have plans for later, and it doesn't involve a barbecue.
Getting on an airplane here for a while.
So Garrett Jones staying in the game in right field.
Tough to complain about that, though, when you think about some of the folks we've talked to on the other side of the world. There won't be a barbecue in their backyard.
Chase Utley leads off for the Phillies in the ninth. Takes a strike. Pirates bringing their dads with them on this trip. A few more passengers on the plane. Clint's dads are going to be there. Clint Sr. Not really senior. They have different middle names, but still Clint Hurdle and Clint Hurdle. Two balls and a strike to Chase Utley. And his dad Tom is going to be on the plane as well. Well, 6-4. Phillies up by 2 in the ninth. Utley hits one well to right center field. On the run, McCutchen, and it's off the top of the wall. Utley's rounding second, heading for third. And he will be in with a triple. His third triple of the season.
Well, the Phillies won't back off the throttle, will they? They score a couple runs, try and get back in the ball game, and they start the inning off with a triple. Right off the top of the padding.
Hustling all the way.
So he's got the play in front of him. You can see him looking. He's making his own decision whether he should go to third or not.
Jimmy Rollins pops this one up on the infield. Jordy Mercer fighting the sun, looking to catch one up. Rollins now 2 for 5. Tough sky right now. Reed will have to pitch to Ryan Howard. Howard has 1 hit today. He's walked and scored.
It's a pretty sky, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Cotton balls up there. Beautiful blue. Can they make white cotton candy? I guess you could do that, couldn't you?
I think they could make anything they want today, Bob.
Yeah, they have the technology, don't they?
I mean, they can hook us up with 2 soldiers in Kuwait, live video.
Good point.
Without a TV camera, they can make white cotton candy.
Good.
Somebody can. 1-1 to Ryan Howard.
Remember the old Oakland A's? They used to players wear the green hats and the coaches used to wear the white hats.
Swing and a miss. There's a reason for that. Their owner, Charlie Finley, was a bit eccentric. He wanted to know where his coaches were.
Really?
When he was at the ball games. He did spend most of his time in Chicago. And used to have the radio feed piped back on a Watts line. so that he could listen to the games over the radio, and sometimes he'd send messages back to somebody who would deliver them to the dugout.
So I heard it was because they didn't want the players to wear white hats because it would bother the hitters. Because I asked about somebody that one time, and they told me that it was and at the time when teams had multicolor hats with white in it, the white always had to be on the back part of the hat, couldn't be in the front. Like say the old Toronto Blue Jay hats.
Right. Well, Dick Williams was the manager, and those swinging A's were wearing those hats. And he told me I used to work with Dick. I was lucky enough to do that before he passed away, and he told me that's the reason. He said Charlie always wanted to know where we were.
Now we're breaking ball down.
So they're going to walk Brown. Put the lefty Dominic Brown on to get to the right-handed hitting Mayberry. Of course, Charlie Finley did a lot of things differently. He had a designated runner at one point. Experimented with an orange baseball. He's definitely a different character.
They do sell his players for cash.
Yeah. Dick also told me that one thing they did was they had a mustache rule. You had to have one. One year, I think it was 72. 71, 72, somewhere in there, they had to have a mustache.
It was a contest, wasn't it?
Yes.
Who could grow the best mustache. And pretty good looking one.
Yeah, how would you rate Ray's?
Best on the team.
There's Ricky's. Ricky Winslow, he's got that Raleigh fingers. And the mutton chops to go with it. Dave Nichols, well, I can't beat that. Unless your shoulder gets in the way. So here's Mayberry's first at bat. He came in as a pinch runner after Delman Young got on. And he grounds it to third base. Pedro charging, throwing, and he got it. So the Phillies don't capitalize on a leadoff triple from Chase Utley. Last wraps for the Bucks, down by 2. And the Pirates looking to come back again. Rather than Bucks looking to battle back. This is the rubber game of a 3-game set. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, look forward to Miller time later in today's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Also, Martin leads off. He's 1 for 3, had a single his last time up in the 7th inning. And Jonathan Papelbon is on to try to close it out for Philadelphia. Papelbon picked up the save Tuesday night, his 16th. He pitched a quick 9th inning. The Bucks 1-2-3. It's like the sign store has been active. Got some new models.
Good one. Got to make a push. 2 runs down. Papelbon, one of the tougher guys. There's the rally hat. Got the bat ready. All the pieces are in place. I want either a walk or a leadoff double.
Russell's had some big hits late in games for the Pirates this year. 252 hitter. Strike one. Papelbon made some news when he voiced his opinion about the Dodgers' Yasiel Puig and the, I guess, ongoing debate whether or not he should be in the All-Star game or not. And Papelbon certainly on one side of the fence on that. Doesn't think he should go. 0-2. Pedro Alvarez represents the tying run right now. If Martin can get aboard. No balls, 2 strikes to Russell Martin. Oh, way up in it.
Almost got on board the hard way. It was a little too high maybe to hit him, but it was well inside.
Lays off the off-speed pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes now.
Well, this was a little too close to take, maybe. I got the call.
So here comes the 2-2. Jonathan Papelbon set. Pitch to Martin. Falling back a third, and Jimmy Rollins went a long way to go get it.
Yeah, he was looking up into that sun. He could tell by his shadow that the sun was right where the baseball was. Not an easy play for the Philly shortstop.
Pedro 0 for 3 today. Struck out 3 times.
We need him to do some table setting. Not normally his job. You got to get at least 1 base runner.
Looping a blast time right now for the Pirates. Down 2 runs in the 9th. Ball 1 to Alvarez. He's 3rd in the National League with 21 home runs. Just the 2nd third baseman in club history to hit 20 or more in multiple seasons. Bobby Bonilla did it in 88 and 89. And hit 24 and 22 respectively. Well, Pedro to center field. Sets that table.
Yes, he did.
And this will bring the tying run to the plate. 1 out single for Alvarez. For 4. There's Neil Walker. Walker's 0 for 3.
Not a lot of home runs this year, but the 6 that he has hit have come from this side of the plate.
Applebaum staring in at Ruiz, looking for a sign. 1 out, 1 on. Ball 1 to Neal. Rally caps. Maybe they'll work. Up in the air to shallow left.
Can't see it.
And the sun causing a problem, but Brown able to recover. Now the Pirates down to their final out.
He definitely lost it for a moment. He can kind of smile about it a little bit there, but right there, he lost it and had to make a little adjustment to get back to where that ball was coming down. I'm sure they don't wear those fold down glasses anymore for a reason. But I know that some of the fold down glasses, they all came with different tints. Some of them were almost like welder's glasses that you could fold down and you look straight up into the sun with them. They really would do a great job.
Travis Snyder pinch hitting. Takes a strike.
Obviously you can't wear glasses like that and and just look in for the pitch, but because they were full down when you really needed them looking up into the sun, that's when you could use them. But they have definitely fallen out of favor. I'm not really sure why.
0-1 to Snyder coming from Papelbon. Now the Bucks down to their last strike on the 4th of July.
I guess they need to come out with some that you would have the regular tent that you could wear all the time, and then tap them and you could get that dark look.
The ball's 2 strikes. Papelbon's pitch. Snyder strikes out and the ball game is over. Save number 17 for Jonathan Papelbon. Just the 3rd win of the season for Cole Hamels, and Garrett Cole is going to get tagged with his first major league loss here today as the Pirates remain 20 games above 500, falling to 52 and 32 with the loss this afternoon. And the Phillies take this series 2-1. The Pirates take the season series 4-3.
Well, it's easy to get used to winning, and it's hard to believe that we lost a series, but it's happened. Nothing you can do about it now. You have to get out on the road and get after those Cubs.
So the Phillies heading home winners, and the Pirates will head out on the road to take on Chicago. Start of a 3-game series tomorrow. 6-4 the final score. Let's go to Paul Alexander and Kent Tekulve.